Welcome to RoadTrip WDW. I'm your host, Rebecca Schlau. This is episode 5, and today I'm going to talk about saving money at Disney World. You may have thought that I was done with my tip sheets based on the last few episodes, but I actually saved another one. This is my saving money tip sheet. I'm again going to be reading off some random saving money tips for all of those who are planning a trip but don't want to break the bank. I'm going to be honest though, Disney World vacations are not for the faint of heart. They're going to cost you, and they may cost even more money than just your standard family vacation over the summer. But in my mind, I think it's well worth it. And before I get into how we save money at Disney World, I just wanted to give any listeners who don't know me personally just a little bit of information about myself. My husband has recently been sharing this podcast with whoever will listen to him, and I never really intended to have any sort of broad audience other than just friends or family or other people in Central Arkansas trying to plan a trip. So just a heads up, I'm not a professional podcaster, obviously, and this is just a hobby. I do this just for fun. I'm not trying to make any money. I don't have any sort of travel agency that sponsors me. This is purely a hobby of mine. Just planning Disney World vacations are so much fun, and I get really worked up and excited when someone I know tells me they're going to Disney World, and then it starts me on this huge tangent, and people get very overwhelmed when I start talking about all the things they need to do. A lot of times people will ask me what they should do, where they start, and that's pretty much where the idea for this podcast started. I began just writing the tip sheets down for my family and friends, and then the tip sheets turned into the idea for this podcast. So if you are listening and you don't know me, just know that this is purely a hobby, and to check other reputable websites and podcasts for probably more accurate and professional information about Disney World. I am a local clinical psychologist here in Arkansas. I got 3 kids. They're 8, 5, and 1. I got a husband. We're a pretty standard Arkansan family. We like to have a good time. We typically take vacations during the summer, and we really, really love Disney World. I never imagined that I would be one of those people that goes to Disney World every single summer, or maybe even more than once a year. I did envision taking family trips to Disney World. And in fact, when I started having kids, going to Disney World was one of those things I fantasized about. I also never really imagined that I'd be taking kids young. I always envisioned that I would start going to Disney World when my kids were a little bit older. Like I would start them off at when they're 5 or 6, or when they can really remember everything. And boy, was I wrong. I started off my kids, the first one at 18 months. My other one started her Disney World journey at 3 months, and then my son started his trips to Disney World at 1. So Disney World is truly fun for all ages. I really think any time toddlerhood and up is the ideal time. And don't let people try to tell you that you should wait till your kids are older. That is hearsay. Do you understand that kids under 3 get into Disney World free? And that's where we are going to start our discussion on saving money at Disney World. So that's right, gang. Take your small toddlers to Disney World. Go while the getting's good. They get in free. They eat at buffets free. Take them now. Don't wait until they're 7, 8, or 9. I can promise you'll get some fun things out of the vacation, even when they're really small and won't have any very accurate memories of Disney World. Just the pictures you get with them and having the experience will be tons of fun. So take your kids while they're young, and you can skip the admission for their ticket cost. That is tip number 1. The next tip is to pick a cheap hotel. Try to stay on property. Try to stay at one of the Disney World owned hotels. So I would check out the value resorts. Those are going to be the ones that are geared more towards families who are looking to save some money on a budget. We may call them cheap hotels, but that sounds kind of tacky, but really, they're the cheap hotels. That's okay though. The cheap hotels happen to be the ones that I think are probably the best themed. And I think the cheap hotels are some of the ones that your small kids will like the most too. They tend to have really large, elaborate characters in their courtyards. They also have really good food courts. So I would check out Art of Animation as my top choice for a value resort. Now, the cheapest rooms at Art of Animation are going to be your Little Mermaid rooms, and those are going to be standard hotel rooms with, a few double beds and a bathroom, but the theming is great. There are also some other rooms at the Art of Animation resort which are family suites, but those are a lot more expensive, and those are geared more towards people with bigger families. So even though it is called a value resort, I would say most of the hotel rooms at Art of Animation are more like a moderate resort range price. You're going to pay anywhere between about $100 to $150 for a Little Mermaid room, but if you stay in one of those family suites, you may pay $300 to $350 a night for one of those. Now, keep in mind with the value resorts, based on your room preference, you may have a long walk to your bus stop. There's going to be some deterrence to any one of these resorts, and frankly, all the resorts have some pros and cons. And just to be clear, there is nothing wrong with staying at the value resorts. There's several people who prefer Art of Animation or maybe the All-Star movie resorts over some of the other more expensive resorts just because of the theming. And again, if you have a child that happens to love Little Mermaid, Finding Nemo, Lion King, or Cars, go to Art of Animation. However, if you do like other Disney movies, there's some other huge statues of these Disney characters at some of the All-Star resorts. They also have All-Star Music and All-Star Sports. They also have great accommodations, very nice theming. They may not be based just on Disney movies, but they can still save you a ton of money. So I would check out maybe some reviews on these different resorts, like at TripAdvisor, or just get online and see what everyone says. Now keep in mind, if you're going to stay at a value resort, you may see some negative reviews, and again, you will see negative reviews of all the resorts. But when you want to save money, go value. The next tip is to skip that dining plan. So all of you first timers just figuring out Disney World, I bet you keep wondering, what is this dining plan? What are these options? This is kind of confusing. It seems like it must be a great value because everyone keeps talking about it. But for us, the dining plan is a crock. We never eat that much food. Have you actually looked at what it offers? For us with small kids, our small kids don't need all that food. So for those who don't know what the dining plan is, it's a package deal. So it's one of those where you can book your room, your tickets, and all your meals ahead of time. Now there can be some advantages, I'm not going to lie. There can be some advantages to the meal plan in that it saves you maybe stress because all your vacation might be paid for in advance. And for some people, they claim it does save them money. But the most you're probably going to save on the dining plan is 10%. And that's if you have a family of very good eaters. So if you have a family of really good eaters and y'all eat big meals and lots of snacks every day, the dining plan probably is for you. However, I am a family of 2 adults and 3 random eaters. My girls, who are 8 and 5, they could share a kid's meal and still have plenty left over. In fact, I think my kids would probably just rather eat snacks all day. So there's no way they need a full entree 3 times a day. So the dining plan has 3 different options. You can choose one that's more like a fast food plan. You can choose one that's a mix between fast food and a restaurant sort of meal. And then you can choose a real fancy one, which they call the deluxe dining plan, which is all 3 restaurant sit-down meals a day. With the dining plan, you get snacks too. So it's very appealing for some people trying to plan their Disney World vacation to think that all of this is included. However, it is a very hefty price tag. And for those who have kids like mine who don't eat full entrees, you're wasting your money, because everyone in your hotel room that's staying with you must also have the dining plan. So you can't just have one adult and one kid dining plan. No, if there's four of you, you have to pay for all four of you guys. So for us, it doesn't make any sense, especially when the portion sizes at Disney World are really good. So if you get an entree, it's going to be usually big enough to share. Now, if you're a real hefty eater and you like big portions of everything for yourself, you may like the dining plan. But for us, my husband and I, we typically pick something that sounds good to both of us and we share it. This way, we also don't get so overly stuffed and full, and we can save more room for snacks. The snacks there are also big. Think about really large pretzels or one of those big cupcakes. It's almost like a double-sized cupcake. These are considered your snacks. And when you get a snack, you typically have plenty to share. And when you're at Disney World, I always find that I want to try so many different things and so many different entrees and so many different snacks. So if I fill up real big at dinner, I'm not going to have any room later to try maybe a cheaper snack I want to indulge in. So heed this tip. Just skip that dining plan. Now you're going to need to bring some money for food because Disney food is not cheap. So bring extra money for all your meals. One great thing about Disney World, though, that helps me save money is that they do allow you to bring in your own food and beverages. Now, this is an amazing perk. We literally carry in an ice chest full of water and juice and milk and soda and sandwiches and Lunchables, and this saves us a ton. One reason is drinks are marked up very high at Disney World. A bottle of water may run you $3.50. I can buy a whole case of water for $3.50. Next, my kids aren't great eaters all the time. They don't care if it's a fancy Disney World cheeseburger. They might rather have a Lunchable. So I may actually pack a Lunchable and then just tell them that they can have a Disney World cookie later, and they're fine with that. So just to clarify, it's totally fine if you and your partner or just you want to eat your own entree bought at Disney World and then just bring in something cheap and easy for your kids. If you got picky eaters, this is the way to go, and it will save you a ton of money. And you don't feel bad about wasting all your hard-earned money on the food they don't eat. Some good advice is to do some Disney World food research before you go. Check out Disney Food Blog and other resources. Check out the food that you might want to try and check out the snacks you might want to try. Snacks may range anywhere between $4 to $8. Entrees, in my opinion, I think costs around $15, $10-15 at Disney World. And so maybe you might want a snack or two rather than a full entree. And when I say snack, there's going to be some items that aren't just popcorn and pretzels. I mean, some of the snacks may be macaroni and cheese topped with pulled pork or something like that. If you forgot my tip to bring your own water, or you ran out of your own water, you can also save money by just asking any Disney World dining location for a cup of water. They give it to you for free if they have it. Now, some of those little stands will not have water on tap, but some of the more established stands and restaurants will be able to give you a free cup of water. Just ask. Speaking of meals, if you're really trying to save money and go to Disney World, just skip those character buffets. They're so enticing because you can see all these great characters and it'd be so much fun, but they are going to cost a lot of money, and it's completely okay to skip them. Your kids aren't going to be able to walk by a restaurant and be like, hey, I want to do that. That looks like so much fun, because they're not going to be able to see in unless you take them in to see what they're missing. So they're not going to know what they're missing, so walk on by. The one exception to that is if you are riding the monorail and you happen to ride through the Contemporary, at times you can actually look down at Chef Mickey's and see some of the diners and the characters having a great time, but that's okay. You go really fast through that. But if character meals are really your thing and you know it would be so much fun for your family, then don't skip it. But if you want to save money on a character meal, try to go for breakfast. Those are going to be your cheapest character meal options. Once you get towards lunch and dinner, the price will jump. Now, if you've been listening to my other shows, you know that we are not big breakfast people. So even though we love saving money and we do like character meals, I do not recommend for my family to ever waste money on a character breakfast, because my kids usually have already eaten a Pop-Tart before we even get there. I mean, the minute they wake up, they're starving. So they're going to go ahead and eat something. Plus, we just don't really want a lot at breakfast. We don't tend to eat huge plates of sausage and biscuits and waffles. Now that I'm saying that, it does kind of sound good. And of course, I do like that at times. But when we're at Disney World, we typically stay away from large breakfasts. So if we're going to do character meals, our value comes from spending a little bit extra on lunch and dinner reservations for character meals. And if you listen to my old show, I kind of made that comparison that that's only because we end up spending more at lunch and dinner. We'll spend a lot more money on those entrees than we ever would with our 25-cent Pop-Tarts. So in those instances, if we would have actually spent extra money on a character meal, it kind of would have just been a wasted meal that we really would have never had anyway. But lunch and dinner are meals we definitely have every single day. So I hope that wasn't confusing to anyone. First I said skip character meals, then I said do a breakfast, and then I said I don't recommend breakfast. So I hope I was very clear and not a bit confusing. Another tip to save money for your Disney World vacation is to pay for your trip in gift cards that you bought at a discount. So for instance, I go to Target, I use my Target Red card, which is just a Target debit card essentially, and everything I get from there, I get 5% off, including gift cards. So I may buy $100 worth of Disney gift cards and I pay $95 for that. And I understand it's only 5%, but hey, that $5 out of every 100 does start to add up. The way I look at it is every $5 that I'm saving from that 100 is an extra snack I get. And there's a very specific snack that I'm thinking of. It's one of those Mickey ear shaped Rice Krispie treats dipped in chocolate and dipped in M&Ms, and those are exactly $5. And if you think about it, for every $1,000 you spend, that's $50. That's 5% that you would be saving if you decided to pay for your trip with gift cards. If you do go this route, and I have done this before, it can be kind of a hassle if you bring all of your gift cards to your hotel without trying to combine them. I have done it before and it looked ridiculous and it was a bit embarrassing. And make sure when you do bring your gift cards, if you go that route, do it at check-in. Don't try to do it after you've already checked in on your last day, because then they'll have to cancel your whole trip, the charges, and then they'll have to go back and do all of that and add each gift card one by one. But what I do now is once I get a gift card, I enter it into my gift card savings bank that I have set up with Disney. So that way I just enter in all of that information as I go online and it saves it. So then when I get closer to my trip, they will give me a combined total of my gift cards. And I can keep combining gift cards and I can just roll them into one big one so that when I get there, I have my gift card ready and available and I don't have 40 others to go through. And it's not just Target that does these discounted cards. You can also go to Sam's. I also hear that there's another place called BJ's or maybe some other discounted sites that do offer a discount if you buy in bulk. And so check out any sort of local stores that give you some sort of discount when you check out using one of their credit cards or just by the membership itself. The next way to save money on my tip sheet is buying discounted tickets. So when you look at Disney World or you're going through a travel agent, it may be very appealing to just go ahead and book everything as a package. However, I have found that if you piece together your vacation, like you book your hotel separately, then buy your own tickets separately, you'll actually save more money this way. My favorite place to buy tickets rather than directly from Disney is a website called undercovertourist.com, and you just plug that in and you get these great discounted tickets. I've used this at least 5 times. I have encouraged all my family to use undercovertourist.com. When you get your tickets, it has a code number on the back, and you will enter that code number into your My Disney Experience application, or you'll go to the Disney World website and it will link those tickets directly to your room. So you'll still get your Fast Pass bands, your Magic bands that come with all of your Disney World hotel reservations. Everything stays the same. You just didn't spend that extra money. Before the show, I did a little experiment, and sure enough, for a fake 7-night vacation at Disney World with 6 days worth of tickets, I would have saved $143.15 just by buying my tickets from Undercover Tourist rather than going for a room package that included tickets. But I will say that when it gets closer to time of your vacation, so let's say you're planning this big trip, you're trying to save money, but the reality is that once it gets closer to your trip time, there may be other promotions that come available, and you'll be able to use these towards your vacations if you call Disney World back and say, hey, can we add this promotion onto the room I already booked? Or sometimes they can't. Sometimes the rooms have they're very limited in which rooms can have this promotion. In that case, try not to be dead set on the room you want. Try to have an open mind, because sometimes they offer promotions that will save you quite a bit of money. I mean, if you can get 10-20% off your hotel room, that's a really good deal at Disney World. So like right now, I've seen a promotion like a Sun and Fun room offer, the summer free dining promotion, and all of these promotions are worth looking into. Now, I did look at one that sounded pretty interesting that gave free dining, and I'm always skeptical of these vacation packages that offer free dining, because again, it sounds like such a great deal. But remember what I said about the dining plan? You wouldn't really spend, or a lot of us wouldn't really spend that sort of money anyway. So they use these sorts of promotions to be able to sell you a room at full rate, like without a promotion. So for instance, let's just give an example of, let's say you were going to spend $100 per night on your room. Well, a promotion comes out and you're only going to spend $80 on your room per night. And then maybe they decide to say that, well, how about we just add free dining, but you got to pay full price for your room, and your package is going to, be more expensive than you had planned to pay for. You really got to crunch the numbers at that point, because at times, just because free dining is offered doesn't mean it's actually going to save you money, especially if you could have saved more by going with a different promotion for your room only. And I know that some of this doesn't make sense, so if something's not clear or you want to ask me any questions, feel free to check out my Facebook page. I think it's called RoadTrip Cast, something like that, and I can kind of clear that up. But anytime free dining is offered, I would check out kind of your room scenario. So you can go to the Disney World website and do a fake vacation, like price out the room you want, with or without dining, with or without the tickets, and price it out and see what you would actually pay, and then go back to what sort of dining plan you would actually be interested in and how much food you would get to see if it would work. The one that's being offered right now, it is kind of enticing. It's a summer free dining promotion, and altogether it may cost about $500 extra for me to have dining throughout the week, but for me, that $500 doesn't really sound bad for a whole week worth of food. So in that case, it might be worth it for us to check it out. But there's going to be other times when free dining really doesn't make financial sense. So read the fine print when you book some sort of vacation package like that. or at least a package where things are included, not just your room. Another way people can save money is not getting park hopper tickets. Now, this is an option to just regular tickets. So let's say I buy 6 days worth of tickets to Disney World. Now, the standard tickets are going to be called Magic Your Way, and that means you can go to any of the theme parks on that day. But if you want to go to more than one theme park, like you want a park hop, like you may want to start your day in one theme park like Magic Kingdom and then end up in Epcot, you're going to need a park hopper option. Well, to have the park hopper option, that's going to cost more money. There's actually another tier up from that called the Park Hopper Plus option, and that gives you the option to also not only go between all the parks, but then you can also go to a water park or a golf course each day too. But to save money, just get the bare minimum Magic Your Way tickets. Another way to save money at Disney World will be planning your trip during a less busy time of year. That's typically when the room prices and the ticket prices may go down a little. So when the kids are in school and it's not during summer break, spring break, fall break, Thanksgiving, Christmas, these are going to be times when Disney World wants to pull you in. So they may drop the price of your room and maybe even drop the price of tickets just a little bit. So if you can, try to book a vacation when schools are in session. If you're wanting to stay at one of the nicer resorts, or you're wanting to stay in a bigger room that has like a kitchen and washer and dryer, you may need to stay at one of the villas, one of the Disney Vacation Club resorts or properties. And a way to save money and still get to use those rooms is to actually rent Disney Vacation Club points. It's the same thing as a timeshare. So if you've ever gone to a timeshare presentation, or maybe you've heard about it, it's the same exact premise, except it's just the Disney version of it. So what we're doing this year is we were able to save well over $1,000 by renting someone else's DVC points. And we went through a very reputable DVC rental company, and we had to make sure we checked it out pretty thoroughly and got really good reviews. But that's saving us a ton of money this year. Another way to save money is don't buy the photo package. They call it Memory Maker, and this is where you get all of your professional photos that Disney World takes. Another way to save money on your Disney World vacation is to skip Memory Maker. Memory Maker is the photo package that you buy at Disney World, and this allows you to get all of your digital downloads of the pictures the Disney World photographers take at all the various parks and locations around Disney World. Now, this is going to run, I think, somewhere around $180 these days, or $190. If you book it early, you save $20 to get this package. So if you for sure did want to buy it, just book it early. But one thing we do is we just skip it. We don't buy Memory Maker because we just have all of the same photographers that are taking these beautiful pictures with these beautiful things in the background. We just have them use our own phone to take pictures for us because they will not turn you down, and it may seem tacky. I know it's embarrassing to tell a professional photographer who wants to take a picture with their camera that, hey, after you take that picture with your nice, fancy, expensive camera, can you take a picture with my dirty cell phone camera? And they always say yes, and they're always really sweet. And all of our pictures have been great. We've never had any problems. Some of my favorite pictures come from my cell phone from one of the photographers. Now, we did get Memory Maker for this last trip, and there were several pictures I would not have gotten had we not paid for a Memory Maker, and they were great. I don't think they were almost $200 worth of great, but they were sweet. But if you're trying to save money, just skip Memory Maker package. You can still get all of your pictures made by the Memory Maker photographers. They will still scan your Magic Band and they will link it to your account. You will still have access to all these pictures to look at, not to post to Facebook or not to capture the images, but you'll have access to look at all these for several days, and then you can make your decision. If there's so many pictures you just really want and they just took great pictures and you can't live without it, you can buy Memory Maker afterwards. You can decide later to add on that expense if you really want to. Or let's say you just had a few pictures you really liked. In that case, you can spend $15 and get that image itself without spending the $180 for the whole package. Going back to hotel recommendations, there are a few hotels that are technically on Disney World property but are not owned by Disney. And I'm referring to the Swan and Dolphin. And the Dolphin is one of my favorite resorts on property. Swan and Dolphin are actually pretty much the same thing. They're connected. They're sister resorts. They share a pool. They share all the same amenities. But I just love the Dolphin so much. If you heard any of my other podcasts, you know I rave about it. But the price is really good. It's a great way to save money at Disney World and still get a very amazing location. The location to the Swan and Dolphin is incredible. You can walk to Epcot, you can walk to Hollywood Studios, you're right there on the boardwalk, plus the rooms are going to be cheaper than if you stayed at any one of those resorts that it neighbors. So you're still going to have to pay a hefty price tag for the rooms. It's not just going to be like your $80 off the interstate hotel. I mean, you're still going to pay closer to $200 a night for it, but for that location, it is saving you a ton of money if you do book it there. If you guys are road trippers like me and you bring your car, well, of course you're going to save money by doing the road trip because you're not going to be flying and paying for those expensive plane tickets. But they will get you on all the Disney resorts. They now charge a parking fee, so beware of that. But you get to park at all of the parks for free, which is pretty cool if you're staying on property. If you really don't care about booking your fast passes early or having early access to dining reservations and you're not planning on taking any Disney World transportation whatsoever, I guess one of the ways you could save money would be to stay off property. Even though I really don't recommend that for a first timer, you can get some really great hotel rooms. You can buy really nice hotel stays and condo stays for much, much cheaper than you could if you stayed on property. However, I think it just takes away from the whole Disney World bubble experience. But there's tons of people who will say the complete opposite. They will say it is a waste of money and dumb to spend all that money on these little bitty hotel rooms when you could, spend the same amount of money for a whole condo for cheaper. And I just disagree. I just think everyone should stay on property. But if you really insist on saving that money, you can look off property. Another way to save a little bit of money is to plan a day off. Don't plan to go to the theme parks every single day of your vacation. This will save a little bit on your individual ticket costs. So for instance, if you were going to go for 7 nights and 6 of those days you would be available for parks, I might probably just get a 5-day park ticket. I highly, highly, highly recommend you take a rest day if you have the time. I really want everyone that listens to this podcast to hear me loud and clear, and I'll probably say it every single podcast. Don't overdo it. Disney World can be exhausting, and if you do not pace yourself, if you do not give yourself these rest times, you will not enjoy your vacation the way you are planning to enjoy your vacation. So plan a rest day and save money on that ticket. Another way to save money is to bring your own Disney World souvenirs, which sounds kind of silly, but keep in mind, a lot of the local stores you can buy Disney World shirts all over the place, much cheaper than you can if you went inside Disney World and bought t-shirts. You can also buy different dolls and Disney merchandise. I mean, you go to Target, Walmart, you can get loaded up on these different presents and things for your kids. I know a lot of people who do these Tinkerbell gifts, and every morning the kids wake up and there's a new Tinkerbell gift. And That's kind of cool because they get excited and they get a present, but you didn't have to pay a lot of money for it. Your kids are going to want everything in the store. They are going to go crazy, and you are going to be driven to guilt and sadness when you look at those price tags because you're going to want to buy your kids these souvenirs at Disney World. You're going to be really excited. You're actually going to be primed to spend that money and go against your budget. So you need to be prepared and equipped to say no to really cute things that seem like good ideas at the time. There's also things that they sell in the parks that you can get much cheaper if you buy them outside the parks, like the same exact thing. Like they have these bubble wands that you can spend some, like, I don't know, 15, 20 bucks on inside the park, but you can get that same bubble wand at Target for a lot less. So try to buy things in advance that may be cute for your kids to have. And so I recommend bubble guns, like those bubble wands, but also anything glow in the dark. You'll notice at night Disney World starts pushing you to buy glow in the dark jewelry, and your kids are going to want it just like they're going to want the bubble guns. And if you are already prepared with things that are glowy and light uppy, and especially ones that have Disney characters on it, then you are already well prepared for that situation that you get in when your kids start screaming about wanting something and you don't really want to fight for them, and you may be wanting to give in a little more than you normally do on your normal routine and kind of give in to their whims a little bit. You can already be prepared by bringing your own souvenirs or bringing your own Disney gear that you want your kids to have. On that note, I would also say give your kids a budget, whether it is on a Disney World gift card for each individual kid, or just tell them to their faces, or tell yourself that each kid gets a budget, and that's all they can spend, because again, they will want everything, and if you don't set some boundaries for yourself or for them, you're going to leave Disney World spending $500 on souvenirs, and you really don't have much to show for it. So at Disney World, they have this place called Bippity Boppity Boutique, and this is where your little prince or princess can go in for a Disney World makeover. They offer different packages, and it's really cute because they get their hair done and their makeup done and their nails done, and it's really precious. All the little girls love it, and they get to walk around Disney World wearing these cute dresses. And so it's really fun. Now, if you're trying to save money, just skip it all together because it costs a lot. But if you want to do it and you still want to save some money, then you can also get a basic package where they do the hair and makeup and nails, but you just bring your own outfit, which is much better than buying the very expensive dresses that they sell there for a larger package. If you want to do something like Bippity Boppity Boutique, but you don't want to spend the money on that, or you want to save a little bit more, you can do something very similar, and some people would say just as good as of an experience is at Pirates League. And this is where your son or daughter can go get dressed up like a pirate, whether a girl pirate, boy pirate, or a mermaid. Or I think they also have Uma from Disney Descendants that they can make over into. And it is super cute. It's a little bit cheaper than Bippity Boppity Boutique. You will need to bring your own pirate outfit, or you could, of course, buy an outfit there, but we always just bring our own outfits. But they will give them some really great souvenirs in each of these boutique places, either Pirates League or Bippity Boppity Boutique. They give you several different things to take home as part of the whole makeover experience. And so that's cool. If you don't have a reservation for Bippity Boppity Boutique, but you still want to do a makeover, they also have a hair salon at the Grand Floridian, which is the hotel kind of across the lake from the Magic Kingdom. And you can get your hair done there. I believe it's going to be a little bit cheaper than the Bippity Boppity Boutique, but don't quote me on that because I haven't had it done yet. There's some other basic tips to save money when you're going on a road trip that I will give everybody. And that's little stuff like bring your own laundry detergent, bring your own gear, bring all the things that you are going to need to keep your family clean. If you forget something, the hotel will, they'll jack up the price of stuff in their gift shop. So bring things from home, or if you do have that car, just go right down the street and go to one of those grocery stores or the Walmart and go ahead and get some supplies there to save you some money. One of my husband's favorite tips will be to buy your beer outside of the resort and bring it back in. He is a big fan of, hey hun, can you get me a 6-pack while I'm running into the grocery store every time we go on vacation? Because if he buys his beer at the resort, it's going to be several dollars more expensive than if he just gets a cheap 6-pack when I go into the grocery store. Everywhere I go, I always look at Groupon to see what sort of deals they may have. There was one time I did see a Groupon for this hot air balloon ride that is offered at Disney Springs. Now, it doesn't go anywhere, it just goes up and down. But if you've ever been down to Disney Springs, you see it, and it's pretty cool. And I would love to do that hot air balloon one day, and I may check Groupon and maybe they'll have another Groupon for it so I can save a little bit of money. Like I mentioned in one of those other episodes, that do join the Landry Select Club. If you are going to go to T-Rex or Rainforest Cafe, you will get a dining credit back, and if it's near your birthday, or even if it's not near your birthday, you will still get a credit that you can use towards your food, and that I think saved us about $25 total. And that's going to wrap up the discussion on saving money for your Disney World vacation. I constantly add new tips to my tip sheet, and I'm sure there are other ways that some of you have been saving money for your vacations. If you want to make a suggestion or add any other ways you have saved money for your Disney World trip, feel free to make a comment on the Facebook page. And like I said, I believe it's called RoadTrip Cast. And on this page, you'll also find a little bit more information about the podcast, but also my Branson podcast. So for those who are interested in planning a vacation to Branson, Missouri, so check it out. Give us some advice that you would want to add to any of the tips that I've already mentioned and just help out your fellow listeners. Or if you have any other specific questions, feel free to drop me a line. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.